All right, let's be honest. Your team is already using AI. You know it, I know it, the tech works. So the real challenge we're facing now isn't about proving that AI is useful. It's about moving generative AI from being this kind of cool, kind of scary technical curiosity into a secure, strategic asset for the business. This is the guide for CTOs and CSOs on how to actually make that happen.
And this quote, it just absolutely nails the core problem, doesn't it? You can't just take a consumer tool and sprinkle some enterprise security on top. Using a free public-facing AI tool inside your company's walls, that's not a risk. That's a data breach just waiting for its moment.
So yeah, the debate's over. Generative AI is here to stay. The real question, the one that should be keeping you up at night, is how you can possibly deploy it without sending your legal and compliance departments into a complete meltdown. Because right now, that free tool your team loves is a ticking compliance time bomb.
This is the fundamental tug of war happening inside every big company today. You have this massive pull from your teams who are seeing these incredible productivity gains. But then you have this equally massive pushback from security and legal who just see a giant flashing red light of risk. So how do you bridge that gap?
Well, this is exactly why a tool like ChatGPT Enterprise even exists. And look, it's not just a faster chatbot. You have to think of it more like a compliance wrapper, an entire system that was engineered from the ground up to solve that exact conflict. And, actually get your CISO to sign off on it.
Let's just cut through all the noise. Let's ask the single biggest, most important question that every single technology leader has on their mind the second you start talking about bringing in an outside AI platform.
The answer is a simple, direct, blessedly unambiguous no. And honestly, understanding the how and why behind that no is what builds the entire foundation of trust you need to even move forward.
You see, this isn't just a promise in the terms and conditions. It's an actual architectural reality. In the enterprise version, there is a hard firewall by default. Your prompts, the files you upload, all your conversations, it is all explicitly walled off from the model training process. This right here is the single biggest difference you're paying for.
So, with that foundation of trust in place, now we can look at the specific features that turn this thing from a security nightmare into a tool you can actually deploy. This is the stack of features that gets your CISO to finally nod their head.
Of course, we're talking about the standard stuff like bank-grade encryption, but the real game changers here are 1. Enterprise key management, which basically means you hold the keys to your own data, period. And 2, the compliance API. This thing lets your existing data loss prevention tools hook right in and monitor chats, stopping a well-meaning employee from accidentally pasting sensitive customer info where it shouldn't be.
And then you have these. With certifications like SOC 2 Type 2 and the whole suite of ISO standards, the entire conversation just changes. For most companies in regulated industries, adopting AI is no longer a security problem. It becomes a procurement problem. So you might be thinking, hey, why can't we just use the cheaper team plan? Well, when you put them side by side, the differences are pretty stark. Just look at the jump from basic security to full-on SAML SSO, or from a simple user list to a full admin console. They're just fundamentally different products built for very different scales and needs.
But forget about speed for a second. The real magic, the engineering marvel, is that 128,000 token context window. Think of it as the AI's short-term memory. 32K is great for summarizing a blog post. But 128K? That's what lets you analyze an entire 200-page legal filing or debug a massive codebase in one shot. It unlocks a whole new class of high-value work.
And this right here, this is where the control comes from. The admin console is absolutely non-negotiable for a large company. SAML single sign-on plugs into your Okta or Azure AD and kills shadow IT dead. You get analytics to see what people are actually doing, and you get controls to lock things down to only the tools you've approved. This is what separates a controlled strategic rollout from total chaos. So, now that we've established security and control, we can finally get to the whole point, generating actual business value. Because to justify this kind of investment, you have to aim way higher than just writing better marketing copy. You need to target the processes that are expensive, that are slow, or that are prone to human error.
The source material we reviewed lays out 10 really solid, high return on investment use cases. We're going to highlight 4 of the absolute best ones.
The kinds of applications that deliver a quick, measurable impact across different parts of the company. Now, for any CTO listening, this one is huge. Imagine feeding the AI all that legacy code you have, the stuff nobody wants to touch, and having it refactor it to modern standards. Complete with documentation, this could literally accelerate your technical debt roadmap by months. This one is all about democratizing your data. Instead of an analyst waiting in line for a database admin to run a report, they can just ask a question in plain English and get a complex SQL query back instantly. It just completely vaporizes a massive bottleneck in getting business insights. For your legal and procurement teams, this is an absolute game changer. You feed it 2 versions of a gigantic contract and ask it to summarize all the changes. A task that used to take a junior associate days of mind-numbing work is now done in 5 minutes. And how about for compliance? Imagine a new 100-page regulation drops from the SEC. Instead of panic, you upload the document and ask the AI to generate a first draft compliance checklist and tell you which departments are most impacted. The strategic value there is just immense. Okay, we've covered the security, we've covered the value, but every CTO has to grapple with the final, and maybe the toughest part of this puzzle, the long-term strategic cost of tying your company to a single vendor's ecosystem. And this is the ultimate question you have to ask. When you adopt a platform like this, you're making a bet. You're betting on OpenAI's roadmap. You're getting their best-in-class security today, for sure, but you're also tying your entire AI strategy to their innovation cycle for the foreseeable future. It's the classic trade-off, right? On one side of the scale, you get the stability, the security, and the performance you desperately need right now. But on the other side, you've got vendor lock-in. You're dependent on their APIs, their roadmap, their priorities. Strategically, that can be a really tough pill to swallow. And yet, for right now, the verdict seems pretty clear. For most big organizations, especially in finance or healthcare, the sheer administrative nightmare and compliance risk of trying to manage a multi-model, multi-vendor AI setup is just too high. So the cynical but probably correct answer is that the vendor lock-in is simply a price worth paying for security and stability today. So we'll end with this question. While we're all debating the long-term cost of vendor lock-in, it's so important to weigh that against the alternative. In a world that is moving this fast, what's the competitive price you pay for just standing still? What's the real cost of AI indecision?